Hello, this is Scott Sladecek doing the persuasive speech. So real fast, here's my audience. Two
Hi.
and three. Awesome. So I'd like to take a minute and ask you, what do you think about college attendance? Is it necessary for college class attendance to be mandatory? Well, I think we need to rewind a little bit and let's see what the goal of college is. I think it very definitely, depending on who you'd ask, a lot of people would say, well, the point of college is to have a great 4 years, party a whole lot, and just have a great experience. On the other end of the spectrum, people might say, well, it's to study hard, focus, and throw all social aspects to the wayside, and not at all focus on having a great time. So I think no matter who you ask, the bottom line, the common denominator could be get good grades. I think everybody wants good grades, regardless of how hard they're willing to work for those. So let's take that goal and say, okay, well, great. How can professors attain that goal for students? Simple. Just give them a whole bunch of extra credit, not necessarily making them any more aware or knowledgeable about the facts that they're thinking about or studying, but just give them good grades. Great. They'll walk out of college into the workforce and not have any idea what they're doing. Okay, there's a little bit of disconnect there. So let's redefine the goal. Let's say that the goal is to learn. That makes more sense. So let's go ahead and say that the goal of an education, of any college institution, is to learn. Well, it's a little bit hard for professors to teach and to get students to learn if students aren't showing up to class. So let's go ahead and look at people's arguments for showing up to class. Robert Leon Jr. states that the most important factor in order of precedence is deciding whether to attend lectures are the lecture's quality and clarity, the professor's use of relevant examples, and the professor's ability to engage and entertain students. So force them to show up? I think on the contrary, it should be to make students want to go to class. Well, what about the curriculum? I think that's a good way in order to get students to want to go to class. So how can you revamp the curriculum? Well, Harvard University states that many case studies are popular for undergraduate level courses. Teaching with case studies introduces students to real management challenges that they face on the job. So that's how you can get students to go to class. Entice them to want to go, not to force, by revamping the curriculum and making it an environment where the students can interact, be entertained, and actually learn what they're trying to be taught. Once you step into the workforce, it's all about what you know. It's not about whether you showed up to class or went to that party on the weekend, and it's the professor's duty and responsibility to make that happen for those students. We'll now consider not learning, which is our final goal of an education, but the first goal. Let's say good grades. Well, Forbes Snyder says that students' grades and their class attendances are positively correlated. For example, when accounting for other features such as motivation, we found that students who attend all classes receive a 0.45 point higher grade on the traditional 4.0 GPA scale. However, I, as a student, and the rest of the audience could agree that students who necessarily go to class don't necessarily understand or learn what's going on. I see people time and time again show up to class on their iPhones, iPads, plugged into their iPods, and saying, man, I didn't pass that class, what's going on? I showed up to every single class. Well, it's not about if you show up to class, it's about if you pay attention. And I think that the Journal of Technology Studies would agree with me by saying that most administrators and teachers would regard cell phone possession and usage as a negative distraction and deterrent from learning rather than as an educational tool. So there you go. Students go to class, they get on their phones and iPods, and they're not at all aware of what they're talking or of what they're being taught. And the Chronicle of Higher Education again states that students who text message during class, talk on cell phones during labs, and listen to iPods rather than guest speakers in their wireless lecture halls don't do as well as students who pay attention, who are actively focused and listening to the professors and teachers. So in conclusion, we can say that, first of all, the goal of an education in students in college is to learn. Well, how can professors make students learn? It is not by forcing them to go to class. It's by making a curriculum integrated with case studies. It's about making the classroom engaging and entertaining, and the lecturer's quality and clarity, making the students aware of what's going on, and absolutely, hands down, better related for the workforce. So I want you to walk away with a thought in your mind. You walk into class, and the professor's up there standing there, slouched over, a black and white presentation on the board, not at all interesting, monotone, gives a lecture, and you walk out of class. I, myself, and the rest of the 50,000 students that I go to school with could agree that there's probably not a very high chance of you getting out of that class with any education. Only when the student goes to class, has an interactive environment and dynamic with the rest of the class and professor as well, who knows everything that the student wants to learn, that the student can walk away with an education and a learning of what they're trying to take. That's the point of college, and I think that when professors mandate their students to go to class, it's not really having the correct effect, because when they make them go to class, they're going to be on their iPods and iPhones and iPads, and they're really not going to get the effect that they're wishing for. So let me say that don't make your students go to class. Have it as an enticement for them to go to class, but wanting them to go to class by the curriculum that you teach. Thank you very much for your time.